Laura Knight's Cassiopaean experiments, often associated with the Cassiopaea material, involves the exploration of consciousness, spirituality, and the nature of reality. Through various methodologies, including channeling and psychic experiments, Knight and her collaborators sought to communicate with higher intelligences, particularly a group of entities referred to as the Cassiopaeans. The primary aim was to gain insight into the metaphysical questions, the nature of existence, and human development. The experiments included multi-session discussions that covered topics like multidimensional realities, free will, and the influence of higher dimensional beings on humanity. Knight recorded these sessions, which often contained profound philosophical and esoteric insights, and these records became part of a larger body of work that aimed to explore consciousness beyond conventional scientific understanding. The overall tone of the experiments reflect a blend of skepticism and deep inquiry into the nature of consciousness and our place in the universe. Laura Knight began her communication with the Cassiopaeans in 1994. She is still in communication with the Cassiopaeans to this day. If you would like a better understanding of the Cassiopaeans and their impact on humanity, I would highly suggest checking out the Wave series by Laura Knight, the Cassiopaean Forum, which a link will be provided in the description box below, or purchasing the book that I personally am reading from that contains all of the transcripts and conversations between Laura and the Cassiopaeans. The Cassiopaeans base the soul's evolution and consciousness on the spiritual template known as the Law of One. The Law of One is also known as the raw material. It is a series of philosophical texts that emerged from a series of channeling sessions conducted by Carla Rucker, Don Elkins, and Jim McCarthy in the early 1980s. The sessions involved channeling a consciousness known as Ra, who claimed to be a collective of extraterrestrial beings from the sixth density. The key concepts in the Law of One are unity and oneness. The central tenet of the Law of One is that all beings are fundamentally interconnected and are expressions of the same universal consciousness. The phrase, "we are all one," encapsulates this idea, emphasizing that unity is the essence of existence. It also covers the densities of existence. The material describes the cosmos as composed of multiple densities or levels of existence. Each density represents a stage of spiritual evolution, with humans currently experiencing a third density, which is characterized by lessons in love, understanding, and most importantly, making choices. We also seek to understand in the Law of One soul evolution. According to Ra, souls undergo a process of evolution through these densities, learning and growing through various incarnations. The choice between these paths influences one's spiritual evolution and the experiences one encounters in life. There's also discussions of the role of free will. Free will is considered sacred, and individuals are encouraged to explore and make choices regarding their spiritual development without interference from higher beings. If you would like more information on the Law of One, please make sure to check out the material for yourself. A link to all resources will be posted down in the description box below. But for now, let's get on with the show. And before we get to our episode today, just a quick thank you to all of our patrons and our producers. If you would like to join our Patreon or our producer community and help support the work done here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link down in the description box below. This channel is solely crowd-funded through our amazing patrons and our producers and our sponsors. So you guys mean the world to us. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. Now, this is a rather impromptu video. I was supposed to be filming a video with Todd right now about the service to self path in the Law of One because it's important for us to really understand the service to self path, because the service to self path can be quite manipulative. And so for us to maintain our place on the service to others path, we have to look for the pitfalls. However, that video has been pushed back a little bit. Todd had some stuff he had to do today, some urgent stuff for his business here in Atlanta. So we might be filming it today a little bit later, but nonetheless, I thought I would go ahead and I was like, let's just look at one of the Cassiopaean readings. Because I know you guys enjoy that. So anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Law of One and the service to self or service to others path, you can go over to the Confused Wanderers YouTube channel. This is Todd's YouTube channel that he just opened. With much prodding and pleading, he finally opened up his own channel to go through the raw material, the Law of One, service to self, service to others. He's also going to be getting into some of the Cassiopaean stuff as well. And so this is a great place to start. He has a playlist, the raw material. He also has an Ashtanga playlist, but he's in this raw material playlist. He's going through literally all the parts. So part 1, part 2, part 3, like density 1, density 2, density 3, the veil, like what is the veil? Why do we have the veil in third density? Again, his latest one. We're going to talk about some aspects that he didn't mention in this video here on my channel, but part 4, selfish or selfless, shocking truths of third density revealed. Very, very interesting stuff. I know a lot of you guys like that stuff. So if you have not checked that out, please go ahead and do so. That will help you understand the Cassiopaeans a little bit better too, because they are working off the Law of One template. And if you've been on this channel for a while, you know I've said many, many times that the Law of One is really what's kind of, I feel like, helped that in my yoga studies. But the Yoga Sutras is really like a handbook for third density, so they kind of work together. It's really helped me see through some of the BS, especially in the truther world. Let me tell you guys, like, you guys have heard it for me many times now. The truther, the so-called truther world, the right, way more manipulative and dishonest than the left in a lot of ways. Way more censorship, way more cancel culture, all that kind of stuff. It's wild to me, kind of scary. And just gonna remind you guys, like, if you're anti-censorship, then you have to be anti-censorship. Saying you're anti-censorship because you don't want your ideas censored is not anti-censorship. Like, you have to let everyone speak. Nonetheless, that's a tangent for another day, but I have not pre-read this, but we are going to look at, I hope, I might have, hopefully I haven't done this one yet. I kind of did go down a little bit, and there's some pictures here that I don't recognize, so I think this is definitely one we haven't read together yet. And I just typed in undergrounder because, as you guys know, I made reference to this on the Erika Kirk video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it down below, or it'll be at the end of this video at the outro. You'll see a link to it. I believe, it is my opinion, right now, I could be wrong, but this is my opinion, that Erika Kirk is an undergrounder. These are people that are kind of trained from a very young age to play kind of a double agent role. They're very dangerous people, undergrounders. There are some YouTubers, truther YouTubers, who I know for a fact are undergrounders. I can't say how I know that, but these people are basically trained to come in and to be controlled opposition. With Erika Kirk, it's interesting. Some of my fear is that the controllers of the world, the establishment, is going to end up using their authoritarian control through the conservative right and the Christendom. I've had that realization over this past week. I feel like ever since Charlie Kirk was unalived and everything that's going on, I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like the powers that be, the establishment, kind of use the extreme left as bait, right? As bait to push people into the right, like herd people over into the extreme right.
and drive people into more fundamentalist type Christianity, which is terrifying. This also goes back to Project Bluebeam, the original Project Bluebeam, where they felt like they were going to put like hologram Jesus in the sky. So it's pretty terrifying. I feel like that's kind of been their plan all along, and I feel like we just need to wake up and realize that with this new sort of one world government, there's going to be a one world religion, and it looks like that they're trying to get Christianity to be that. Which we know, especially if you've been on this channel for a while, that the church Christianity is not actually Christianity, right? His name wasn't Jesus, never crucified. This is a whole satanic practice that's been pushed into these churches, even though the name church is named after a demon. And so I kind of have been a little concerned, and that I feel like that's kind of, in my opinion, that's Erika Kirk's role, is to push people even deeper into this authoritarian, tyrannical control that comes with very conservative religions. And so anyway, so I thought, let's look and see what undergrounders are. I know for me, the most violent things that have happened to me in my life, especially being on YouTube, have come from Christians. It's unbelievable. Most violent group of people, generally speaking. There also are some really good Christians out there, some really nice people out there that are more, there's this question, right? Like, regardless of what religion you are, it comes down to this fundamental question. Do you serve the system or do you serve God? Because the two are not the same. So do you serve dogma? Do you serve rules and regulations established by another human being? Or do you serve God? If you serve God, then you would never believe in a one world religion. You would never believe in forcing your opinions onto somebody else. And so I think what we're looking at is pushing people into the extreme right to serve the system. And the system is part of the beast. The church is part of the beast, right? Anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir. So let's go ahead and see. Some of the undergrounder stuff we've already read before. So let's see. This is April 27th, 2024. So not that long ago. Laura and Andromeda at the board, or Andromeda, however you say her name. Don't frankly really care. I know that sounds crass and mean, but as you guys will see, as Todd gets more into this whole conspiracy around the Cassiopaean experiment, you'll see why. Nonetheless, we know that they're talking to some entity that seems to know what's going on. So we're just going to see what this entity has to say, or said, back in 2024, like a year and a half ago. So we have Laura and Andromeda at the board. All these people are on Zoom. Yeah, they're all on Zoom. So question, Laura, today is April 27th, 2024. She reviews everyone present. All right. I guess we'll start off here and see how many of these we can get through before I collapse people. Geez, is anybody there? Sixth density here, Gorapia from Cassiopaea. Yeah, Laura says, well, you have kind of a different intro then. Well, then they all have different intros. What am I talking about? All right, the energy seems a little bit slow. Is that going to be a problem? No, it will groove. Laura, is there anything you would like to tell us before we get started on this really long list of questions? I mean, something that we might need to know in advance? Answer, in reality, there is no time. Perception is what gives the illusion. Duh, we know that. Laura, and that is apropos of what? Answer, you will see. Laura, well, I don't like the sound of that. Whenever they say you will see, it's never pleasant. All right, first question from Altier. Altier, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so in what year were the Yahtzees first contacted by the Nordics? Yahtzees existed under different monikers much earlier, 1914. Did Hitler actually unalive in 1945 in Berlin? Answer, yes, he did. He was unalived. Okay. Question. In one of the previous sessions, the Cease said that Theodore Ilion, author of Darkness Over Tibet, didn't visit Tibet, but traveled to Siberia. Was this part of Siberia the Altai region? Answer, no, he did not make it that far. If not, what part of Siberia did he travel to? Western edges. When did he do so? 1936 or so. Is the Olena Zelensky Foundation, founded by the wife of Zelensky in 2022, involved in carpooling, as some Russian sources claim? Tangentially, yes. Question, Laura. Does that mean that it's not like, how to ask this, it's not a main activity, but it happens because of the corruption of the individuals involved? Answer, yes. Question. Which events initiated the upcoming program change? Laura, what program change? Discussions of beginning of March 9th, 2024 session. March 9th, 2024 session. So obviously this is referring back to something that they already talked about. Okay, so this is just Altier's tricky way of trying to get more answers than they gave us the last time. Joe, he wants to know why it's happening now, I suppose. Which events initiated the upcoming program change? Is this because of Ukraine losing on the battlefield? Answer, no. Is it because of Trump? Closer. Something to do with American politics? Laura, so does this program change have to do with American politics? Answer, warm. Question, Laura, is that something we're seeing at the present moment with these massive protests that are going on at the U.S. universities, which is basically making that country look really, really bad? Joe, because of what they're doing in Palestine. Laura, so they've got some kind of something that's going to be done about this? Answer, very warm. Question, Laura, so it has to do with that country, this country, possibly with Trump and the American political scene and the mass protest against the, I can't say that word, I don't think, Genocide and Palestine. Answer, yes. Laura, so they're going to try to do something because ... Joe, to distract from all that. Laura, to distract from all that? Or to damp that down? Answer, yes. Laura, all right, okay. Altier asks, how many in UKES does that country actually have? So if you need to look at the screen, look at the screen. I know that it's lessening up a lot on YouTube with their regulations, but I'm still just a little bit nervous. Once bitten, twice shy. So we're talking about the I country, the Zionist country. That is the reason why I believe that Charlie Kirk was unalived, because he was withdrawing his support, which I agreed with him on that. Just because you don't support a government, I'm going to clarify this, just because you don't support the activities of a government does not, however, mean that you don't like the people. I think that we have to be very careful about that. There's nuance here. All right. And I feel that way. I feel like we are in bed with the wrong people as a country. We need to take care of our citizens first. Stop messing with the I country. Let the I country take care of itself. But that doesn't mean that I don't want the people to live happy and prosperous lives. Of course I do. I want people all over the world to live happy, prosperous, and fruitful lives. Okay. So they're asking how many in UKES the I country actually has. 157. And Joe says that's less than people suspect. Laura says, huh? Joe says people say 400. The number 400 has been touted over the years as the number of in UKES that they have. Laura says, well, they said 157. Joe says it's still enough, right? Laura, yeah, that's a lot. Joe, how many does Iran have? Answer, more. Laura, did you get that excerpt for me for Altier's next question? Review of previous session about 4D bases in 5D. Question, Laura. Okay, so the question is, the C's once said that fourth density, service to self, also have bases in fifth density. Laura, I think they said they transit. I don't think they said did you mean they actually have bases in 5D? Answer, no, fifth density. Not dimensions, that's bullshit. Density, it's densities. Question, Laura. So then the rest of the question, do they abduct people to their bases located in 5D? Would be no, right? Answer, yes, because they don't have bases in 5D. 5D is more of a, for both the positive and the negative, it's more of a reflectionary density. Laura says, okay, but you say that the bases transit 5D. Transit? Answer, everything living is connected to 5D via a cord, a conduit at all times. Thus 4D bases are also connected. So there is a belief that that's where our higher self is in 5D. Fifth, density, not dimension. Remember, dimension, that dimension talk is controlled opposition. It's density. Okay? So we're not talking about physical structure bases. We're talking about the fact that abduction activities and base type activities are, I guess in a way we're all connected to 5D at all times. Yes. Answer, yes. Laura, all right. Do you want to work on that any harder, Altier? Where is he? Altier, yes, I will. Laura, well, right now, do you want to add anything? Because that's where, it's not a very clear question, and I don't know. Joe, he's giving up. Laura, you're giving up on that one for the moment? Okay, Altier. Were there any agreements between fourth density service to self and Russian military officials, as was the case with the USA? Not officially, no. So for anybody new, fourth density service to self, we call them Lizzies, but they would also be more like demons, like people would refer to them as demons. So we know that they've had interactions with the USA, but not with Russia. That's very interesting. Question, Laura. Does that mean there were some agreements with somebody in Russia at some point in some way? Answer, yes. Laura, and is that still the case? Answer, to a small extent in some nefarious quarters. Question, Joe. The difference being that with the U.S., it was officially agreed by the deep state or wherever, and they actually worked with them and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Did Nima ever come up with that map? Chew, I don't think so. Nima, we need this map for the question you've got. It says map attached. I sent Nima and Approaching Infinity a message earlier, so they always record their chit-chat in between questions. Approaching Infinity, yeah, we didn't see that message. What were you asking for? Chew, Nina says on the question that she sent an attachment, something from Google Maps or something, but it didn't go through to the questions. Laura, it says these people were claiming there was a pyramidal ... Approaching Infinity says, Nima says that Leclerc said there was a map attached. It wasn't her. She copied her post, she says. Oh, and where was this post? Nima, somewhere in last month's session thread, Approaching Infinity. Do you remember what the map showed? Nima, yeah, it showed the area where they said the pyramid was not at, Approaching Infinity. Oh, well, it was a map of Alaska, the region where the pyramid is not, but where people say the pyramid is. So by Mount McKinley, I guess. Can anybody find it? I would like to see that map. You know the question about the pyramid? Laura, yeah, I know, but I'd like to see this map. They're claiming there's proof. I'd like to see it. Joe, I don't think it's proof. It's just a map showing a point on it saying this is where the pyramid is, not evidence of an actual picture of a pyramid. Laura shows on Google Earth. Chew, here it is. Okay, that's not the same. That's not it. Chew, that's the only link they posted so far. Laura, well, anyhow, if y'all tried to find it, by the time we get to that question, I'll have a map to look at it, because I was always curious when people make these declarative statements and they claim they attached proof. Okay, Altier again. And so obviously there was, in a past reading, there was some debate over if there really was a pyramid, where people had claimed there was, and obviously somebody sent a picture of a map, but it really wasn't proof of a map. It was just where they were saying near Mount McKinley, where they were saying this alleged pyramid was. All right. There is a book, UFO Danger Zone, Terror and Death in Brazil, by Bob Pratt. He writes, since the 1970s and probably much earlier, terrible things have been done to people in Brazil, perhaps more so than all other countries combined, and these cosmic muggings are still occurring. To my knowledge, it is only in Brazil, not neighboring countries or the United States or any other nature in the world, that UFOs have been so overtly hostile. My question: why were fourth density service to self so aggressive with Brazilians? Several people were injured or unalived. That's interesting. If you guys know more about this, would love to hear more in the comment section below. Answer: there are many Brazilians involved in questionable practices that attract and give permission for such violations in specific areas. Everything is done from consent, you guys. that's what drives me crazy about a lot of the truthers is they claim that they've been robbed and all these things have been happened, that these like government agencies have done nefarious things to them. And yes, that is true. However, you have to remember that we gave consent. Sometimes that consent is in the form of manipulation, but it's still consent nonetheless. Again, please go back and watch Todd's Law of One series to really start to understand the nuances behind this. This is why nobody's going to come bringing you a check, right? That no one owes you money because you consented. We've all consented. So, and I don't know what the answer is to get out of that consent, but that's how it works here in third density. Nothing can happen without consent. We gotta smarten up here. Questionable practices such as chew black magic. Is some of this black magic? Yes, stuff like voodoo. I don't like that they say this. This is where Laura really shows her ignorance. And you guys know, I've said I'm not a huge fan of Laura. If you're new here, I'm not. I think Laura has some behavior problems. I believe personally that Laura is service to self. That's just my personal opinion. I know Todd's got a lot to say about this as well, so please make sure that you're subscribed to The Confused Wanderer because he's going to get into all the tea about Laura. He's actually Laura's cousin, so there's still a lot about Laura. She's not as smart as she thinks she is. Like, she goes around talking about how intelligent she is, and she's read all these books, and she's really not that smart, though. She doesn't know anything about Hinduism. We've been through that before with her, and she kind of makes an ass out of herself. She says stuff like this. It's very ignorant. It's very blanketed, generalized statement. Like, she said something in one of the past posts about Brahman and Shiva cohorting in a intimate way. And obviously she doesn't know that Shiva is masculine and so is Brahman. And they both have, in Hindu mythology, have their wives. So, when you're looking at like Christianity, we have the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. In Hinduism, they have a Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. It's the same. And so with Laura, I find there's a lot of arrogance. Need I say arrogance, entitlement? She's confused. She's very confused. It's very obvious to me as somebody who spent like 19 years really studying spirituality and spiritual texts. Laura, in my opinion, seems to be falling for the greatest hoax in third density. The yoga is basically the whole main subject of the Yoga Sutras, that we confuse our identities in this life as who we are always. Like our prakriti, our nature, we confuse that for our soul. And so, when the Cassiopaeans tell them to research, they're not talking about conspiracies. That's not what they're talking about. It doesn't matter. Like, all this conspiratorial stuff, like, it's good to help us understand we've been lied to, but it's not supposed to become our identity, right? Like, at some point, you have to realize that you've been lied to so much that you have to go inside to find the truth. You have to work on your spiritual life to find the truth. You don't research more. I mean, it's fun, it's entertaining, that's why we're reading it, right? It's to be entertaining. But I think she's very confused. I think Laura is very confused about like what her soul is. She goes on and 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 on, and multiple readings about how special her bloodline is, which is a service to self thing to do. To be, we're all special. We all have interesting bloodlines. And it's interesting, I've noticed, and Todd's going to get more into this, that anybody who challenges Laura, who says, I don't think you're right on this, anybody who's challenged her, she turns around and calls that person an OP, which the Cassiopaeans had said not to do. The Cassiopaeans said, we can't do that. We can't call people organic portals. It's not our place. But she does it all the time. So I just, I think there's definitely an arrogance there. And I think it's going to be really great for Todd to be the one to really break this down for you guys, because he is her cousin. And so she can't call him an OP, right? Because they come from the same bloodline. They come from the same bloodline. So she kind of shot herself in the foot with that, because she's spoken about how great she is and how special she is because of who her ancestors are. However, her cousin, who comes from the same ancestors, has got a thing or two to say to her about some of this behavior problems that she obviously has. There's even more horrific stories. So if you are, you have free will. I have told you guys many times before, this is why I've never joined their panel, or I've never signed up because I don't like Laura and I don't trust Laura. I don't think Laura has anybody's best interest at heart. She's very much, I definitely, at the worst or the least, I think she's a narcissist, a malignant narcissist. At the worst, she's deeply service to self. And I think most service to self are narcissist. I think that I don't like her at all. I appreciate the Cassiopaeans, but I don't like her. I don't trust her. And so there's a lot of stuff, claims that allegations that have been made in the past that I know, and I don't want to take it that away from Todd. He's going to go through all of that when the time comes for him to go through all of that with you guys. Again, he is her cousin. He has been following the Cassiopaeans for a lot longer than I have. So I'm going to let him go deeper into that stuff with you guys. So if you're interested in the juicy tea, make sure you're following Todd, because he's going to talk more about that. And I just want to warn you guys, like, I want to say, if you do join the Cassiopaean forum, you have every right to join it. And if you are getting benefit from this stuff, I'm glad you're getting benefit from this stuff. But please do not let her abuse you. Todd and I have watched some postings, and it's nasty the way she abuses people. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And so I'm just going to tell you guys, if you do join the forum, please don't allow your self-worth to be belittled. Be very weary that there are allegations of occult. My opinion, these allegations do seem to have some merit to them. Just my opinion. Again, Todd's going to go more into that. So that is why I just like to read the forum, and I don't want to get involved with the group. I know that the health advice Laura has given, a lot of people are getting very sick. So just be very careful. Be very careful. Again, that's all I'm going to say about that. Todd will go more into that with you guys over on his channel, The Confused Wanderer, in the future. But when she says stuff like voodoo, this reads to me somebody that's either very low IQ, or just not, she has no education. Because if you understand voodoo, we've covered voodoo extensively on my channel. I've got books and stacks of books. I've researched all of this, the Haitian Revolution. I've got friends here in the South that practice voodoo, that I can ask them questions about their faith. And when you say voodoo like that, what you're falling into is Hollywood propaganda. It's actually not even voodoo, it's voodoo, right? So this is the Hollywood, and you would think if somebody is using a forum like this to talk to a higher density being. I understand using voodoo in a video because that's what people know. That's the name they know. But if you're doing this in a private channeling and you know any stuff about voodoo, you're going to say voodoo, right? You're going to use the real word. But the fact that she doesn't use the real word is concerning. And when we say generalize, yes, there is dark magic in voodoo, but there's also light magic in voodoo. It's both. It's both. And practitioners of this faith pick what they practice. So you can't paint and tar everybody who practices voodoo with the same brush. That's vigilante violence. That type of ignorance is what hurts human life. And so shame on you, Laura, for just saying stuff like voodoo instead of saying maybe practices like the dark side of voodoo. Maybe have a little self-respect or respect for other people. In my opinion, there's more transparency in voodoo than there is in Christianity. Because they're clear. Like when you take communion at church, you're participating in cannibalism. But the church doesn't like to tell you that. When you drink the juice or the wine, what is it that you're drinking? But the church is very manipulative about that, right? Whereas in voodoo, they're very open and transparent. So you have to respect them from that. We also know that when the Haitians moved up into New Orleans, a lot of them created the Haitians themselves practiced or created a lot of propaganda around voodoo to scare people so that they would be left alone. Which seems reasonable to me. I don't blame them. Where's the lie? Like, I don't blame them for that. So it's stuff like this that just really irks me about Laura. I mean, it's more than just that. Like, I hate that she gatekeeps the Cassiopaeans and she gatekeeps the questions, And I know people have submit questions before and she like refuses to ask the questions because she's the gatekeeper. She decides, you know, what's worthy of asking the Cassiopaeans and what's not, and that's not okay. That's not okay. Um, you know, she berates people if she doesn't think the question is good enough, and that's not okay at all. Shame on you, Laura, for behaving that way. Um, and I know that she claims that she doesn't have to like work on herself or exercise because her service to the world is the Cassiopaeans. Well, we all have multiple service to the worlds, right? Like, it's not an excuse. You're not, Laura, you're not she's not the exception to the rule. None of us are. To think you're the exception to the rule is narcissism. To think you're the exception to the rule is service to self. I know it's kind of funny because Laura claims, there's a lot of dishonesty around Laura, and if you read the transcripts enough, you start to pick up on these things, that there's some like inconsistencies here. Like, she claims to have this like photographic memory, and she claims that she's read like 10,000 books, which is impossible. It's not true. It's impossible for a human to do in one lifetime. But she claims she has like a photographic memory, but yet she forgets all the time. Like, at every reading, she's forgotten something from a past reading. But if she had this incredible memory like she claims she does, she wouldn't forget these things, right? So you can kind of see where she's lying, right? It's okay to forget stuff. But I think like the Cassiopaeans call her out sometimes is because she's selling this story to people that she's got this genius IQ, which I don't think she does. I think my IQ is actually higher than hers. I know Todd's is. I think a lot of people's are. So I just would be very careful, you guys. I just would be very, very careful. It feels to me like when she goes on cameras, it kind of creeps me out because I feel like she's trying to be Helena Blavatsky. Like, that's what it kind of looks like, is that she's trying to like mimic Blavatsky. And that's also a sign of a narcissist. It's also a sign of somebody who's service to self, because they can't have their own identity. Like, they can't establish their own. They have to try to be someone else, you know, to mirror someone else. And so, I don't know, just be very careful. Again, follow Todd over on The Confused Wanderer if you want to keep up with all of this stuff, because it's definitely going to be quite juicy when he gets to it. He has to get through all the Law of One stuff so that the audience has a better understanding of the foundation of all this work before he gets into the drama and the tea of it all. But yeah, just be careful. Please be careful to my community. Please do not get yourself into a cult situation. Like, you know, you should be in a situation where you can criticize the leader. You should be in a situation where you can ask questions freely. You should be in a situation where there's transparency. And it does bother me that they don't, you know, I'm glad they put the transcripts up from these channeling sessions, but I often wonder, why don't they just put the Zooms up? Why don't they put the recorded Zooms up of them moving the planchette? You know, are you changing things? Like, that's my question. And there is some evidence that she has changed some stuff with the Cassiopaeans. Again, Todd has that evidence from another person that she used to work with on this. He published some of this stuff, and it's definitely different from what she published. And so I wonder why there's no transparency when it comes to the actual channeling session, like why she just doesn't show it. That's what I would do. If I was doing it, I would just film it and show it. Like, I'm not here to hide anything. I'm here to learn with everybody else. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. So like black magic, stuff like spirit worship or calling on spirits, yes. Anything else? DRUGS, rugs like ayahuasca, yes. Does using ayahuasca leave a person open to be violated by fourth density service to self? It can be. Now, I like how they say it can, because I know Todd himself has done a lot of ayahuasca. I would love to do ayahuasca. We were actually planning on going to Peru to do dieta right before 2020 happened. And then obviously that got canceled. But I think when they say it can be, like if someone like Laura were to do ayahuasca, I think she would leave herself totally open to be manipulated. But if you have, for me, like 19 years of a background study in spirituality, where I've studied all these ancient texts and I understand Prakriti and Purusha, and I understand illusion, I understand the rules of consent with the law of one, like what manipulation looks like. I mean, I know we're all fallible. We all can be tricked again, but I feel like I have a pretty good grounded understanding, and I feel like I myself am grounded in my own practice. Before I was ever even on YouTube, I had been doing over a decade of this work daily, 6 days a week, traveling to India, and so I feel like if you are a grounded person and you understand that you can be put under, when you drop the veil, basically, you're open to both positive and negative. And sometimes the negative can look positive. We know from the Cassiopaeans that all these sightings of like Mary, the Virgin Mary, Mary Magdalene, have all been the Lizzies manipulating the light. And that's not surprising. Like, that seems kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, right? So if you know that and you go in to do ayahuasca, I think you will have more discernment with what is being told to you. We always laugh. A lot of people will go off and do ayahuasca, and then all of a sudden they think they're some great healer. That's very common with ayahuasca. No, you don't just become a healer overnight. Like, it takes years of training, and it's a continual training. And so I can guarantee you, people who feel that way after they've done ayahuasca, they probably were greeted by a Lizzie to manipulate them to build their ego. So Laura says, all right then, Joe, also dancing the lambada. Laura, what is that? Chu hums lambada music. Laura, I want a demonstration. Okay, so what race or group of fourth density service to self was responsible for it? Very depends on the specific case. They're talking about the Brazilian people being things happening in Brazil. So they're asking what group of fourth density services, self-demonic Lizzies, were responsible for hurting these people in Brazil through their black magic. And says very depends on specific case. Laura, oh yeah, all right. In an older session, the C's mentioned replacement of human key personnel conducted by fourth density services self. How many such people are on the surface of our planet at that moment? Laura, what good is it going to do any of us knowing how many? I mean, how many? Is there a reason we need to know that number? No, just a good idea of the scale of this activity. Laura, okay, let's see. How many key individuals are replacements of human key personnel, say in government? What's the percentage? Because we're assuming the key personnel are government, right? Not always. Laura, so it would be different percentages in different groups? Answer, yes. Laura, could we say that, for example, influencers on social media could be considered key personnel? Answer, yes. So is there a percentage on that? 13. Laura, 13% just for social media. 13% of them are what are replaced. What does that mean? I guess they're replaced by an undergrounder, or what? A walk-in. People that work at nuclear facilities as well, That could be, yeah, people in nuclear facilities, people in military, police. How many are in the military? I mean, we obviously know one. Joe, we do. Yeah, the one that wears the dress? Joe, oh, that's not a walk-in. That's just I can't say that word, laughter. Okay, people in the military have been replaced? Answer, yes. Laura, people in the government have been replaced, say on media like television or whatever, have some of them been replaced? Answer, yes. Laura, and it varies according to what field they are in as to how many are replaced? Yes. Question, Joe, was Joe Biden replaced? Answer, no. He was just senile and a useful puppet. That's correct, guys. He was just senile and a useful puppet. But let's go back to that. 13% of influencers, when they get big, are replaced by a lookalike, an undergrounder, or a replacement. And you guys know I told you there is one YouTuber specifically that I know for sure is an undergrounder. And I can't say because I don't want to lose my life. So I can't. So don't ask me in the comment section. I want to stay alive. So I'm not going to say that person's name. I just need you guys to be very, very careful. Probably it would be best to be very careful of who you're listening to, or have discernment. Have discernment with what I say too. Don't take what I'm saying as the word of God. I'm just like you guys. We're just all trying to figure it out. As Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. But I see so many people watch these tarot card readers in the truth world who have never been right about anything, nothing, but yet they get under this spell. They get under this spell where they hear whatever this tarot card reader says, and there's a lot of them now in the truth world, and they take it as the word of God. And it's but this person has never been right. Not once has this person been right. But yet, you think that what they're saying now is true? Why are you so under their spell? Like, you got to think about that. Why are you so inclined to continue to believe certain people when they've never once proven to be right? Just something to think about. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put somebody there, they'd make them at least functional. Andromeda, yeah. All right. So basically, we really can't get just like a general overall figure, can we? Answer 20%. Laura, 20% overall, could be higher in some and lower in others. Is that it? So this is an average using fingers from all the different answer. Yes, Laura. Okay, so just as long as everybody understands that there's an average of, because obviously in some fields there'll be a lot more and in some there'll be a lot less. I would say that among the global elite, it's probably like 50% or more. Okay. Then somebody else says, on the 12th of July, 1984, while on board the Salyut 7 station, several cosmonauts encountered an orange cloud in the path of the station. As the station continued moving, it entered the cloud, and the orange gas penetrated the station and engulfed the cosmonauts. Then they were blinded by a strong light, and when they were able to see again, they saw 7 giant angelic figures floating in space in front of the station. The angels looked at them with the expression of delight and pure joy. After 10 minutes, the angels disappeared along with the cloud. The question is, what really happened to the cosmonauts and who were the angels? Laura, do we know this actually happened? Joe, who made that claim? Yeah, who was making the claim? The cosmonauts themselves. Where are you? She's not here. Okay, so let's see. It's on YouTube. Review of a forum post that includes YouTube video of the alleged event. The story was also told on the History Channel. All right. So the question is, did this event actually happen, at least as reported? No. Did something happen? Did they see something? Yes. What was actually happening? Abduction and implanting of screen memory. That's interesting. Laura, so was that the usual way of abducting, where you draw out the soul essence, remolecularize the body around it, and then work on it and then put it back in the soul? I mean, they didn't actually go into space station and take them physically, did they? Answer no. And it was, as I proposed, that it was the usual mode? Yes. And what was the purpose of it? Sampling to determine the facts of space travel on physiology. And they can do that because when they remolecularize them, everything remolecularized exactly as the usual body. Is that it? Yes? Okay, so I guess that pretty much answers that. Next question. There are others example of cosmonauts while in space hearing strange noises, electronic music, a baby crying, a dog barking. The cosmonauts thought it was Lakey, the dog who in space. What was the nature of their experiences? Bleed through of astral realm due to altered mental psychic states. Question, Laura, so are you suggesting they may actually happen hearing the dog barking? Answer, yes. Laura, I knew it. Okay, Altier's back. So I guess we're going to be changing. They do that sometimes, right? They go from one subject and then drastically change to the other. But I guess since we're going into a new subject now is a really great time to take a word from our sponsor, which of course is Fusion Body Studio. You guys, we have, speaking of Todd at the Confused Wonder, as you guys know, he is now a contributor to the Fusion Body Studio. And so if you guys hold on for 1 second, you can get a sneak peek at one of his new videos. Friends, we have got a brand new video over on Fusion Body Studio with senior teacher Todd Roderick. This is a Yoga Strong yoga drills video, all levels, 30 minutes. In this video, senior teacher Todd Roderick takes people through particular movements that should help empower you in your yoga practice. Even though Todd is an Ashtanga practitioner and teacher, these yoga drills are good for any type of lineage. These yoga drills can also help with any other form of movement, as in these drills drills, Todd is mainly focusing on movement in the core and in the hips, making sure the hips and the core stay nice and strong. Todd himself has been a dedicated student of Ashtanga Yoga since 1995, and he is the most experienced Ashtanga teacher in the southeastern United States. Beginning in 1997, Todd started his journey over into Mysore, India to study at the Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute. During his time there, Todd studied directly under the late guru Sri K. Pattabhi Jois and Sharat Jois. In 1998, Sri K. Pattabhi Jois gave Todd direct permission to teach the Ashtanga Yoga lineage system in the United States. Todd continued to study with Sharat after Sri K. Pattabhi Jois's passing. Todd also studied at the Ashtanga Yoga Center with Tim Miller in San Diego from 1998 to 1999 and with Rolf Najakai in Thailand in 2007. We are truly blessed to have someone of Todd's caliber and experience being a contributing teacher here on Fusion Body Studio. So if you would like to practice with Todd on Fusion Body Studio, you can enter discount code AYA20 at checkout. AYA20, that stands for Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta. Todd Shala here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the busiest shalas in the whole southeastern United States. So if you enter discount code AYA20 at checkout for Fusion Body Studio, you will get 20% off your tuition at Fusion Body Studio for the next 6 months. On top of that, you get 7 days of a free trial before your credit card is charged. Our Tier 1 price at Fusion Body Studio is $25 a month. That gives you access, unlimited access, to the full library of all of our workout videos, including Todd's videos and my videos and Cindy's videos and other teachers' videos, a whole library of fitness boutique and at-home gym at your fingertips for only $25 a month. That is quite a deal. That basically is a price of a drop-in at a yoga studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. But if you want more than that, you can go up to Tier 2, which is $40 a month, which gives you unlimited access to all of the exercise classes, but also gives you access to the workshops, where we have workshops over the Bhagavad Gita, health, healing, and beyond, the teachings, the holistic teachings of Krishnamacharya, and a Vedic chanting course led by Todd Roderick, as well as Todd is one of the few teachers in the United States that's qualified to teach Vedic chanting. With already low prices and a 20% discount on top of that by using code AYA20, you cannot go wrong with this deal. And we look forward to seeing you over on Fusion Body Studio, where you have the opportunity, the unique opportunity to practice daily with master teachers from all over the world. We look forward to seeing you on the mat. All right. Was the Nordic covenant made on 3D Earth? Answer: no. Laura, if so, where? All that's irrelevant. It was not made on 3D Earth. Where was it made? Answer: 4D. Are there any traces of the Nordic covenant in Germany North mythology? Answer: the whole mythos is permeated with it. What did the forebears of the Celts and the Russians call their group nation? Answer: varied. Are you saying that there was more than one forebear? Answer: yes. And that's not a very specific question. Answer: yes. Laura: okay. This is a follow-up question from the dark or black pyramid that was asked last session. There are a few people in the area where this underground pyramid is said to be that say they think something is there because of an area that is fenced in with a couple of watchtowers or something similar to the property. So my question is there something there that the area southwest of Mount McKinley and what some say is the Alaskan Triangle, is there something there? Answer: yes. All right, guys, I'm going to make a note here because I think we should do the next, we should go back and look at the reading before this one next, because I think that is fascinating. I covered the Alaskan Triangle a long time ago on this channel. So That would be interesting to go back and get deeper into that. So let me know in the comment section below if you want to go back in another video and look at the reading before this to get a deeper explanation on that. All right. If so, what is it? Entry exit for underground facilities with attendant magnetic anomalies similar to Skinwalker Ranch. Why is there so much still coming out recently about the darker black pyramid? Answer: smoke screen. Distraction, 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 right? Look over here, not over here. On another note, we had a new member who said they were psychic and belonged to the group of psychics who disagreed with the answers that there's not a pyramid underground Alaska because they saw it. Did they see it with their eyes or did they see it physically? Or psychically, sorry, psychically. That's why I'm laughing, like, you saw it in your imagination, basically. Like, most people who think they're psychic and think they're channeling are literally just stuck in their imagination. They're in their imagination. That's it. All right. Laura, well, that's not terribly trustworthy. They say, on the contrary, there is a pyramid pentagonal structure in Alaska. Which is it? Who cares? A pyramid and a pentagon are. They're asking, what is the shape of this underground base? Yeah, they say it's black and inverted. So in other words, there's not a pyramid standing up above the landscape. It's allegedly underground, and psychics have seen it. Joe, it's an underground facility. Like they just said, it's probably got a shape to it. Who cares? Laura, they go, it shows on Google Maps as a geometric patch with a ring around it from the energy. People have disappeared trying to investigate. Here it is on the map. You guys see that? Laura, is that the map? See the circle? Yeah. Where? Oh, there's the circle. Circle, 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 circle. Is that the circle they're talking about? That one? Okay. That's what they're saying it is. Laura, let's enlarge it. And that's the Black Pyramid. That could also be leftover remnant from a common impact. I mean, it looks like it's got a chunk in the center and a circle around it. Maybe that's where they decided to build their underground base. And they say the fact that you channeled Source says otherwise is troubling. I'm troubled for other reasons. Does your channeler set protection before they channel her? No, I stay freaking awake. We found that virtually no channelers set protection and are constantly getting info from highly questionable sources. Who is this person and why are they giving them any airtime? Talk about ignorance. They asked the question, is there a pyramid there? And the sea said no, there is no pyramid there. But now they're telling us the pyramid is underground, it's inverted. Or maybe it's a pentagon. They're saying it's inverted. That's why you can't see it, right? It's like all those times that the Galactic Federation saved Earth. And that's why we all aren't dead, even though we didn't see it or know about it. It's amazing, Sai. It's like all these people saying the timeline shifted. My predictions aren't accurate because we had a timeline shift. Y'all tired of being gaslit? Because so am I. In his book, Earth, an Alien Enterprise, Timothy Good devotes a chapter to the Italian amicizia, or friendship case, an alleged string of contacts with human-looking beings that occurred from 1956 to 1990 and involved many dozens of witnesses, some of whom are prominent in the community. Doctors, academics, engineers, etc. Good is convinced of the sincerity of the witnesses he investigated. The beings claimed to live in underground bases, reportedly even taking some of the witnesses to them. They looked human, often Nordic, except some were dwarf, others giants, though well proportioned. According to Good, one of the witnesses, Bruno Samasichia, probably butchered that because I don't speak Italian, a Catholic scholar and a psychiatrist, photographed one such giant, Mr. Kino. Good includes this photograph in his book. It depicts a fairly normal-looking man. There is nothing obviously in the photo from which to judge the man's height, but an amateur analysis based on the size of the pine needles and perspective suggests that he may have been up to 10 feet tall. How tall was the man in this photograph? Approaching infinity, my God, all right, I'm asking it. How tall was the man in the photograph? 9'6". That's really tall. Are you happy knowing that? He was one of these underground humans as claimed? Yes. And that's all you want to know? How tall was he? Yeah, I just want to know if we had an actual photograph of the underground giant. That's it. And if anyone wants to expand on that, by all means. Laura, it's the latest. It's in the latest Cassiopaea Substack on the Undergrounders. I was looking at it and I was discussing it with Approaching Infinity. The guy just looks. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's a pretty good picture. It's like an 80s photograph or something. He's got on shorts, a t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirt, looks like a tall guy. I think this photo is down here. We'll look at in a second. Laura, well, I would like to know, it says of these people who live underground, do they actually live underground on Earth? Answer, not exactly. Dimensional portals. So it's kind of like maybe something similar to the Green Children. You all know the story of the Green Children that appeared in England. I think it was. Does anybody know the story of the Green Children? Approaching Infinity. Do you know the story of the Green Children? No, I haven't heard of it. We've talked about the Green Children here on Esoteric Atlanta. Let's just see what they have to say before I go into my spiel about the Green Children. Oh God, somebody just look it up on Google right now. Approaching Infinity. Well, in the meantime, Laura, maybe one question would be, were these guys like some of the undergrounders that we've been talking about in the previous sessions? Answer, no. Okay, here we go. The Green Children of Woolpit. Two children of unusual skin color who reportedly appeared in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England in the 12th century. Children found to be brother and sister of generally normal appearance except the green color of their skin. They spoke an unknown language and would eat only raw, broad beans. Eventually, they learned to eat other foods, etc., and lost their green color. Well, while we're on it, did the Green Children really happen? Answer, yes. Question, were they similar to this? They came from another dimension? Answer, yes. So dimensions are not where your consciousness is. It's a multiverse. That's what I was just saying earlier. Density is the jumping up of consciousness. Dimensions are like a multiverse happening at the same time. So when people say I'm in the fifth dimension, that's not true. Because dimensions are a multiverse. We're right here together in this dimension, but there could be other multiverses happening at the same time. We've done an extensive stuff on multiverse. I will see if I can find some of those multiverse videos and tag them down below. If you guys missed those, there's a lot of really fascinating stories, like the one about the man from the country that didn't exist. There's one about a town in America that like some people think is real and some people don't. It's very fascinating. Okay. All right. Joe, so this giant guy, Mr. Kineo, they say they lived underground because they transfer through a portal to another dimension that just happens to be situated physically below the surface of the earth or something like that. So here's the picture of the guy. Now, obviously, these guys have been put in as a composite to show you the difference in height. That's quite alarming because most people that we know of here on earth that are tall, like 7 foot, 8 foot tall, these anomalies that happen, they always look to be disproportionate. Like they always look like their body hurts, you know, like they might have really big feet. Like there's something that doesn't quite look right, even though they are tall. But this guy looks very proportionate, right? That's interesting. All right, Laura, it may be coincidental at the moment that the portal is here. Let me ask you, Approaching Infinity, you're the one that read this book, right? Yep. 1956 to 1990. Why did it stop in 1990? So again, they're referring to this thing that happened in Italy where all these people were getting to know these like extraterrestrials. This guy, that's where this picture is from, claiming he came from the underground. Well, apparently, if I remember correctly, the contacts just kind of fizzled out. I don't know if there was, I don't think Good dealt with it in detail. It's really, really weird case. And at some point, they got that Bruno Samiokia guy to build a giant estate using his own money that cost a fortune that they could use. And then they had meetings here for a while and they stopped coming and Bruno was left with this giant estate and nothing to do with it. And I think I get the impression that, if I remember correctly, was that the contacts just stopped. It was just like they didn't show up anymore. They ghosted him. Check out that dude. If you saw a picture of him, you think, well, he looks normal. He's got a shirt. He's supposedly a giant, 5'6" tall, and hangs out and drinks with people and says, I'm an alien. Scotty's head comes up with his elbows. So Scotty's head comes up with his elbows. I think they meant to his elbows. Yeah, well, that's actually a really weird case. And they just stopped coming back because maybe the dimensional portal closed. Well, the children they said here that they came from another land where the sun never shone and the light was like twilight. That's the green children that showed up in England. They eventually disappeared. Again, it's from the 12th century. Those happened a very long time ago. It sounds like they came from underground. Yeah, everything there was green. They said they came from St. Martin's Land. So, what was the purpose of this contact with these giant guys in shorts? Coincidental interaction between dimensions. But these were just fairly kind of normal looking people, only like giants and dwarfs or whatever. Yes. Were they on a different third density dimension then? Answer yes. So that's why they could stay there. Yeah, and so they were basically benevolent then. They just would come and hang out, neutral. So they were neither benevolent or nefarious or malevolent. It was a bleed through from a different multiverse, basically, is what I think they're saying. So it was just like you seeing people in our world, our verse, our universe, and then all of a sudden another person pops up and we're on the same trajectory of third density, just different multiverses, if that makes sense. Well, it doesn't sound terribly benevolent if they get this guy to build this big estate and they just stop showing up, but then that's kind of a normal human interactions too. Have we ever met an undergrounder? Answer several. Can you name one? Who pops into mind? I've got 1 and 9 in mind, but we can have initials, no dice. They're not going to tell them. So we have to figure this out and learn to spot them. Yes. I mean, I know I've got undergrounders in my life for sure. They don't all look like giants or dwarfs then. Answer no. All right. Have we ever encountered a person who's been replaced or who's a walk-in? Answer yes. Laura, that's creepy. And I'm guessing all these people that come from this underground or other dimensions know that they're transiting dimensions. Answer yes. And the ones we met have been here with this agenda for some type? Yes. So they're here with an agenda. But have they achieved their agenda? No. Because we kicked them out to the curb. All right. Previous sessions make references to two types of mantis-like beings, soul essences and miniaturians, who are said to be associated with the Lizzies in some way, but not to assist in abductions. This was from 1994. It was also stated reptoids and praying mantis are real beings and not screen memories. Based on his work with abductees, David Jacobs concludes that mantises are in charge of the greys and reptoids and direct the abductions and hybridization programs. Are these mantises soul essence, minotaurs, or a third group? Minotaurian, sorry, but the soul essence can also be Minotaria via reincarnation. And I have to apologize again. I know I say this like every reading. They type the transcript exactly as somebody is saying. So that's why sometimes it's hard to read it because it's just somebody like I'm talking to you right now, right? Like sometimes there's run-on sentences, fragments, ideas switching mid-sentence. So that's why it's a little hard to read this sometimes. How do they fit into the service to self hierarchy already described within the Nordic controlled reptoids? Minotaurians are generally genetic specialities, only slightly higher in rank than reptoids. Nordics control both. Question: the Seas mentioned that lizard beings could live among us in the past because this cosmic environment was very different back then. They also mentioned that they built Angkor Wat around 3,100 years ago. When was the last year in our known timeline when they were present among people? 2300 BC. Just so you guys know, we covered the Angkor Wat stuff. If you're new here, I'm going to put the playlist. I have a whole Cassiopaean experiment playlist with all of our back readings, every reading we've done. So if this is fascinating to you and this is your first time here, you can just go into the description box below and I'll have the playlist right there. You're just going to have to look down the description box, click the playlist, and you'll see all of our past readings. They mentioned also that we were approaching one of these cosmic environmental changes soon. Will that change of the environment be the same or close to the one we used to have in that period in the past? Answer: different. In our timeline, besides the construction of the Coral Castle, when was the last time the sound focusing wave technology was regularly used as a building method? 1100 BC. So we've talked about Coral Castle. Next time we're in Florida, we should go down there and take footage for you guys where they basically say Coral Castle, it's one of the mysteries of the world. Nobody knows how this guy did it. And they basically said he used sound technology, which was used on planet Earth before. And some of the stuff research Todd and I have done, basically we have these ideas too that a lot of these ancient structures were built by some off-planet extraterrestrial alien group that came here, and we've been corrected that no, actually humans built a lot of these buildings because we had technology like sound, vibrational. We knew how to move objects with sound, right? So we did it. We've just lost the knowledge of how to do it. Question. Why did we stop Here we go. Why did we stop using it? Tech lost due to cataclysms, also genetic component watered down and weakened. It emerges anonymously now and then, like the guy who built Coral Castle. So there is a genetic component to this technology, yes. So with certain people who have the genetics who are doing it, yes. Just pops up every once in a while. Okay, we need that. We need to find somebody with those genetics. RH negatives. I know Laura, that's one thing that Laura has altered in the transcripts is the things that they say about the RH negatives. Again, Todd's going to get more into that. But the genetic component they're talking about is RH negatives. Which I know I have a lot of RH negatives on this channel because I too am RH negative. I don't know how to use it though. I don't know how to use sound. But RH negatives are the ones that still have the genetic component because we don't have the rhesus factor in our blood. So Laura changed that. We've now, again, Todd's going to get more into his proof of that, where basically she flipped it around and made it that the RH negatives were like not normal, but the positives were. It's actually backwards. The positives, RH positives, are the genetically modified group. The RH negatives are considered the pure, not in like a better way, or it's just our blood hasn't been messed with. That's why all the elites are RH negative. So it doesn't make you better or worse. Trust me. I mean, they've messed with all of us a lot, but RH negatives generally have the genetics to basically spontaneously do stuff like move things like telekinesis, you know? So, and again, Todd's going to get more into that when he starts to break down the times that Laura has lied and altered the readings when he gets into the Cassiopaean. So again, follow the Confused Wanderer. Laura, I think they pop up every once in a while. I've seen videos of people levitating and flying and stuff. Girl, there's a lot of people levitating in India. Yeah, I know, but that's no good. You need to get them to lift for you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, let's think about Daniel Dunglass' home. We need somebody who can levitate his home so we can put a damp course underneath. That would be useful. That would be terribly useful. Yes, God, I hope you guys know how exhausting this is. So the next time you decide you want to ask questions, make sure you really freaking want to know the answers. It's not that exhausting, Laura. She complains about like her arms getting sore doing this. It's because she's fat. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's because she's out of shape. I do this shit all the time. Like, I don't talk about this on the camera, but we do this stuff all the time. I do it while I'm eating Cheetos. Like, it's not that, but Laura's just out of shape and she's entitled and she wants people to praise her. It's not that hard. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, but maybe it's because I'm RH negative that it's easy for me. I don't know. Anyway, Laura, go lift a weight. Go lift some dumbbells, Laura, and then it won't be so hard for you. Before the final destruction of Atlantis, did they have one ruler or king? Royal families ruling in different regions, or sort of like a consortium too? What type of government system did they have? Do you really freaking care? You're asking for an essay. They were commies, Pico commies, all of the above at different times and locations. In other words, exactly the same as our history. Some things never change, people. Has the supposed chamber of the Atlantean records buried underneath the Sphinx Paul already been opened in secret, or have they tried to open it? Has it already been opened in secret? No. Have they tried to open it? Answer our question, Laura. Why? Obscured. What do you mean obscured? Hidden by energy shield. Also, it's in Tennessee, not over in Africa. Read the Emerald Tablets. So this is one of those, like the sword and the stone type of things. The only special people could possibly get through the energy field and open. Yes. Did we ask about the ship that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge? No. Do you guys remember that? In Baltimore, happened in Baltimore. If not, what caused the power of the failure of the ship? Power failure had nothing to do with the impact, with side effect a bleed through of 4D energies. This was your idea. I already thought about that. Why don't you just ask me? I've told you. I mean, it's like they said they described They described it what it was. New Mexico, were you driving and it looks like the road is straight, but it's really curving, or it's curving and it's really straight, right? So the driver, the captain, or wherever was just like got confuddled about where he was going. And I bet he's still freaking out. He was sure he was going in the right direction. So there's some big symbolic aspect to it. It was the Francis Scott Key Bridge. That's the guy who wrote our national anthem here in the United States. Were there symbolic aspects to it? Answer, yes. And is that because of the 4D energies, that there was some information involved in it? Yes. And was there any bleed-through aspect to the event in London the other day with the horses in the Big Ben? Yes. Is there anything to be read intelligently in symbolism of these events, or is it just associated with that place that it is, or is it predictive? You have been doing well at analyzing things when you network. Cool. In a previous session, it was said that there was a relationship between people and their recently deceased loved one. That when a person feels sadness or regret after a loved one passes, that it's kind of a mirror as to how the person who passed feels on the other side. Does this extend beyond the initial passing? For example, can the passing of a birthday or other significant event cause a resurgence of grief in both parties? Answer, yes. The IAEA recently claimed that Iran doesn't have, I can't say that word, NUCLEARWEAPONS, which varies from the information given in session 13 from June 2015. Does the IAEA know about this? Answer, no. You could have figured that one out. Is it true that that country and the USA have known about them? Laura, does that country and the USA know about Iran's NUCLEARWEAPONS? Answer, they suspect. Are leaders of the West knowingly facilitating an increase in warmongering to prepare to cover up a possible comet strike? Answer, yes. Question, mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose has a theory of quantum wave function collapse. And I had Ark look at this question. He says that Roger Penrose does not have this theory of quantum function wave collapse. He has an idea about it and has not yet been formulated into actual theory. It's not developed enough to be considered a theory. And he just, remember, the physicists use the word pretty strictly. We might say, oh, I have a theory just because we have an idea. But when physicists and mathematicians talk about theory, they're talking about something that's well developed and has some backing to it. So Sir Roger Penrose has an idea of the quantum wave function collapse, in which he thinks that gravity is the bridge between general relativity and quantum theory. Does inverting the physics aspect of this get us closer to the truth? Does the measurement of quantum wave function actually cause unstable gravity waves? Close. This stuff bores the shit out of me. Like, this stuff is so unbelievably boring and to me not necessary. It's not necessary to understand the dynamics from a spiritual perspective of how this earth works, because we are in third density. We go fourth density, it's going to be different. I don't know. It's so boring. It cracks me up because they all think they're like punk rock, right? These people, they're like, we're so bad. We're doing this channeling. We're these punk rock people. You can tell these kids were all made fun of in high school and sat at the nerd table. Like, this is just not punk rock at all, right? Anyway. Do the effects of any such unstable gravity waves, when it propagate downward into the dominions of general relativity and classical mechanics? Yes. Okay, I don't care about this stuff. Let's talk about window fallers. That's interesting. Window fallers are when fourth density beings are like accidentally seen. They don't mean to be seen. So why do 3D window fallers fall through one window but not another? For example, why haven't there been reports of chupacabras in Europe? What relates the consciousness of a window faller to a specific locator? The consciousness of those located at the locator. So in other words, the reason why they have chupacabras where they have chupacabras is because it's subtle for the consciousness of the people that receive it. And that's what relates to the consciousness of the window follower to a specific locator. The consciousness of those who locate at the locator. Oh God, that's just... There's leprechauns in Ireland. There's swamp monsters. It just depends on where you are. And of course, I'm sure that has something to do with the environment. I mean, you have a swamp, and of course, you're going to think that's creepy swamp monster rising up with green slime dripping off of them. And in Ireland, it's going to be little men with ginger beards drinking beer and dancing around a tree, hoarding their gold. Where does that come from? That's just Irish people. Russian astrologist, not even going to try to, Svetlana Dragon, has been claiming a strong possibility of contact with an ET civilization in 2026. Okay, that question is really kind of weird. The question comes after, is she closed time-wise? Well, yeah, but is she closed time-wise refers to the way that it is phrased. And if that is all inaccurate, then I mean, if I ask the question, is she closed time-wise, and they say no, it'll be kind of a black pyramid thing. They say no, and we walk away from it. We didn't ask if there's something else going on there. So does that mean that she is going to be in contact with an ET civilization, or does she mean that humanity is going to be in contact with an ET civilization? In which case, she's a little behind the 8 ball, because humanity has been in contact with ET civilizations for a very long time. You see how asking these questions, I mean, she means humanity. She means humanity and has an official contact. Humanity and official contact. Well, like I said, humanity has been in contact with the ET civilizations for a very long time. Does she mean it publicly, like disclosure and everybody's in touch? Right, exactly. Okay, she is saying basically there's going to be disclosure in 2026 of some kind. Is she close to the mark with that? Answer, close. There's going to be some kind of ramping up of some kind of disclosure type of information in another year or so. Answer, yes. Will it be a real disclosure or distraction? Answer, distraction. Real disclosure would lead to mass rejection. In other words, if they really told us who they were and what they were here for, people would freak. I'm not sure. Half of humanity now would probably run with open arms to greet them. Well, that's true. In the session on the 19th of May, 2021, you said about Havana syndrome, that it is caused by direct beam weapons, that it was more or less practicing on people, and that we should think false flappy thing. Recently, there was a 60 Minutes program blaming Russia. On the other hand, U.S. intelligence agencies, for some reason, prefer not to blame Russia. In 2022, the three-letter agency denied any foreign power involvement. In 2023, there was again an official assessment that concluded that Havana syndrome is not caused by energy, weapons, or a foreign adversary. And then this year, on the 1st of April, the White House confirmed that nothing changed, and they stayed by the same assessment. Based on the 60-minute program, many of the agents were focused on Russia in one way or another. And these agents who were focused on Russia are among the top performing in their various agencies. The question is, who is behind the attacks on these agencies? Why do the U.S. intelligence agencies and the White House not want to participate in the blaming Russia game? Three-letter agency, confusion is apparent, smokescreen. Okay, so they don't want to blame Russia because they don't want Russia to seem to have that kind of technology. Is that part of the answer? Yes. And certainly they're not going to take the blame themselves because they don't want Russia or the public to know that they have that kind of technology. Is that it? Yes. Note the presence of the U.S. base in Cuba. Guantanamo, all right. I'm really getting tired. How much more do I have? Oh, Jesus Christ. There are 3 more pages. Let's poor Joe and Nellie Bob to ask questions. Let poor Joe and Nellie Bob ask some questions. I'll ask one. This is just to get this out of the way. Is there truth to Pepe Escobar's claim that the I country initially planned to decide to detonate over Tehran to create an EM pulse, but that the plane was by the Russians, according to the super high level sources? Is there any truth to that claim? No. Why? It was just outlandish, just smacked of him being fed bogus information. Pepe is Brazilian, right? Ah, voodoo. High-level sources. Does Brigitte Macron have any biological children, as in Jean-Michel the man? Answer, no. So who's the mother of her claimed children? No name. You're not going to give a name? That's violating somebody's privacy. Maybe they're from the underground. Didn't you have a couple of questions, Laura? Oh, I'm too tired for even mine. What are they? I just wanted to ask some stuff about my brother and Pierre, so I'm not going to ask about it now. I'll ask this one later. By what percentage does microwaving a pre-cooked meal of meat and vegetables from 20 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius decrease its total illuminary value, disregarding caloric value on average? By what percentage? 15, 15%. You still get something. You get 85% goodness. You shouldn't be eating meat. That's service to self. And that's all that I'm going to do, people, because that's just too much. Let me mark where I stopped. Yeah, well, the thing is, you got to keep these and put them at the head, and we'll see. We did Havana Syndrome. We stopped right on Havana Syndrome. All right, I'm so tired. Is there anything else we should know that we didn't ask? Not tonight. Rest. Goodbye. End of session. All right, you guys. So that was a long one. I will look at the one before that, so we can get deeper into the Alaska Triangle if you guys want to. If there's any type of subject that you want me to look into the Cassiopaeans to see if they've covered it, put it in the comment section. I'll put it in the search bar. It's kind of interesting. I've been looking, there's some stuff I've been looking under the Cassiopaean Borum to, like the Sabbatean. I wanted to see what the Cassiopaeans had to say about the Sabbatean religion. There's nothing there. Like, there's some really interesting things out there that I think are interesting, that I think a lot of deep conspiratorial stuff, and they haven't asked. Like, there's a lot that has not been covered. So, but if you think of something that you want me to ask, put it in the search bar or put it in the comment section, and I'll put it in the search bar for a future video. So let me know. We're all doing this together. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions, guys. And again, follow Todd over at The Confused Wanderer. All of his links are in the description box below. If you want to keep up with all the videos we're doing here, at Esoteric Atlanta, I now have a Substack. So every time a video posts, I will send out a Substack with a link to the video that you will get an email to. That's the best way I can think of to help keep up with you guys. Also, you can follow me over on Instagram and over on TikTok as well. And of course, Fusion Body Studio, all that information is down below, you guys. With that being said, I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful day. Don't let anybody take your power back, and I will talk to you. With that being said, I hope you guys have a very, very wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
So close to heaven.